For hydro?
For hydroponic plants? I don't know why it wouldn't. I think it would, but
You would have to watch carefully the conductivity
Okay.
in your solution and not put too much on. And
okay,
you wouldn't use the salts at all, the sea minerals at all because of that.
okay. Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Once it's mature, how often would you drench it? I know you said you did it 3 times and it made a ton, but how often would you recommend?
Okay, normally you'd want, if you drenched it like this, you'd want to do it at least twice, about a week apart. Okay, and I do that often with plants. Now, if you're going to spray it on, you might have to do it 3 or 4 times, a week apart there. But drenching it like this, usually twice is enough there. Incidentally, I've got a little lemon tree at home, not much bigger than this, and I put this type of a formula on it. It wasn't this exact formula, but it was like this. And I have 40 lemons on that tiny little tree right now. It's no taller than this. It's about 24 inches tall above the pot, above the soil. And then it's got one branch, because I put some other fertilizer on it, so it's got one branch that's vegetative growth. It's good. In this demonstration garden that we did, I put too much salt. When I first started this, there was almost nothing written about ocean water. And so I had to experiment. And I put too much salt on an early girl tomato plant. I killed it. This garden is 35 minutes away from my house one way. So I was only in that garden once a week. It was actually 2 weeks later before I was back in that garden and could tear that dead plant out of there. Now, when I got there, there were a few ripe tomatoes on this dead plant. And what I expected was a flavor like when we get winter tomatoes, and they're artificially ripened and they taste like watermelon rind or worse. And so I took one of those ripe tomatoes and I ate it, and it was delicious, and I was so surprised. So I took 2 other ripe tomatoes off of that. There were 2 guys working late in the garden that night. And then I picked 2 tomatoes off the early girl row next to it on either side. So I had these 6 tomatoes, and I took it up to these guys working late in the garden. Now, they didn't know which of these. I just said, this is 1, 2, and 3, or A, B, and C, I forget, and said, I want you to taste these and tell me which you think is better. And both guys said, wow, that is a fabulously good tomato. Nothing wrong with this one or this one, but that is fabulously good. And it was the ocean water that did that. Now, this plant is sitting there dead, and it has some hands of green tomatoes. And I thought, well, this is interesting. I'm going to take some of those hands of green tomatoes home. And I took them home, put them on the kitchen counter. They ripened from the largest to the next, right on down for the next, 6, 8 weeks even. Do you know that every one of those tomatoes was absolutely delicious, and that there was no rot whatsoever in any of those tomatoes? So that kind of told me what I should do and shouldn't do, because obviously I put too much salt on and I killed the plant. Let me tell you a story. Okay, I'll tell you a story and then we'll quit. We'll dismiss here. I had a friend that brought me a couple of tomato plants, and they were these little pear-shaped yellow tomatoes. Now, they taste to me, in the middle of summer, they taste to me like awful winter tomatoes. So I don't like them. But my wife's a caterer, and she likes different flavors and shapes and colors and so forth. There. Anyway, I grew these. I grew them in an earth box. Winter came, and I cut those tomatoes back to about a foot above the ground. I took that earth box and put it in the garage. Now, the window was high, but somehow or other that one plant survived the winter. So spring came and I put it outside, and it began to grow, but it got blight just really bad. And I thought, oh, it's time to throw that out and get something else. And, oh, wait a minute, I've been reading about ocean water and what it can do. So I put on some Mittlighter fertilizer, which is chemical fertilizer, and I put on the ocean water, and I put it stronger than what I might now, but I put on a pretty good dose of it. That plant was about this high, with a few leaves on the top, and in about 1 week's time it began to sprout out all over with new green growth. In another week it was covered with yellow flowers, more yellow flowers than I've ever seen on a tomato plant before. And now, then it really did begin to grow pretty good, and matter of fact, it grew about 13 feet, and so I had to lay it over on some rose bushes on the side of the garage there. But what happened is when those tomatoes began to ripen in the fall, those little yellow tomatoes that just taste awful were delicious. They were very good. That plant was very, very healthy and did very, very well. But you've got to get the nutrient on, I think, way before what we're doing here. All right, we've got to close because some people have to go to work tomorrow. I will stay here and answer questions if you want to talk, if there's something else I can help you with. Thank you very much. We'll see you tomorrow.